Does Brady belong in the same sentence as Michael Jordan when it comes to competitive drive?
No, it's not even close. For the simple fact that, Skip, Michael was playing in the 80s and 90s. Skip, like you said, they play football, and he's talking trash. He's telling guys before the game, I'm going to drop 50 on you. I'm going to drop 40 on you. Oh, I'm going to give it to him. I mean, let that sink in for a second, Skip. When they're tackling, I mean, the Knicks, the Heat, the Pacers, Skip, that wasn't basketball. That was football in gym shorts. That's what they were playing, because they were snatching people out the air. They were doing all this crazy stuff. You see, the difference is, Skip, Tom Brady wouldn't have been cursing across the field at defensive players in the 80s and 90s. You know that. You cover the league, Dad. Can you imagine, Skip Bayless, Tom Brady cursing LT, Tom Brady cursing Derek Thomas or Bruce Smith from across the field, saying, you know what, we're going to do this to you. Can you imagine that? No, you cannot, because there was a different type of a ball. It was a different type of ball game back then, Skip. Look, they tried to knock everybody out the game. Your best player his head always had to be on the swivel, because they were looking to get cheap shots whatever they could. And like some of the things that they did in the NBA, Skip, those are flagrant fouls. You're missing 5 games. If Kevin McHale, like he snatched Kurt Rambis out the sky, Skip, how many game suspension do you think Adam Silver will levy on a player in a playoff game if he were to snatch somebody out the sky? Or Robert Parrish, what he did to Bill Laimbeer, going up for a rebound and just start wailing on him. You could do that back then, but not now. Tom Brady could have that type of, you know what, from across the field when the rules have been implemented to heavily protect him. Skip, Mike is on a different level. But most competitors, Skip, you get to a professional level, you're competitive. The greater the competitor, the greater the player is, the more competitive that he is. Skip, John Elway invited Bubby Brister, Bubby, who was the backup quarterback for a year. Well, he was a backup for 1 year. He was a little bit of a starter the next year. But he invited John and just got a pool table. Bubby goes over. He beats John in pool on his table like 3 or 4 times. You know what John did to the pool table? He got it up out his house. I ain't finna have no pool table. John and I, we weren't on special teams, so we would play the video game of a Jeopardy. Skip, I would know the answer. He's like, if you don't tell me the answer, I'm not throwing you any passes. Skip, he wanted to win at everything. We're playing cards in the training camp. He comes, I'm like, bro, why you here? You making all this money. You got 15 car dealerships. We struggling, and you in here trying to take our money. Skip, that's just how he was. So the greater the player, yes, they're competitive. Do I believe Brady is competitive? Absolutely. But I think the difference is, Skip, is that you look at, oh, golly gee whiz, Tom, and you don't realize that there's a towering inferno that rages inside of him. 1, they took me in the 6th round. 2, they still don't believe I belong here. They think it's fluky what I'm doing, what I'm going to show you. And so, Skip, for me, I don't know if we'll ever see anybody like Jordan, because, Skip, you know Jordan. There's not one thing. You can't do anything with that man without putting money on the table. I'm talking about anything. I bet you the sun going to come up tomorrow. I bet it don't. Bet 50 grand. That's how he rolls, Skip. I mean, like, dude, the first time I met him, Skip, I'm like, bruh, he tried to look, man, we playing cards at such and such. You want to come up? I'm like, no, you not finna get my house. I'm not finna go over there and play with you. Bruh, I just want to say, hey, it's nice to meet you again. Good to see you. Hey, yada, yada, yada. Good luck the rest of the year. But I'm not playing with you, Skip. But that's how it is, Skip. That's what rages inside of people. That's what makes athletes great. The more competitive you are, normally the greater player you are.
Okay, I completely disagree with your complete premise of this, because Tom Brady absolutely belongs in the same sentence with Michael Jordan when it comes to competitive fire. The problem with this debate is that it's hard to even envision Tom Brady in the same sentence in any way, shape, or form with Michael Jordan when it comes to athleticism or swagger or cool or whatever all that is Michael Jordan, the essence of the GOAT. Tom Brady is the GOAT of the National Football League. But when you look at Tom Brady, you tend to see him as what you just described. Golly gee whiz, dad next door in the upscale white suburb. That's that guy. And that's the guy who posts these silly, lame bits on social media. And you say, well, what are you doing? That's not cool. Right. That's beneath you, Tom. You're the GOAT. Michael Jordan would have never posted those silly little bits on Instagram. And yet, you think of Brady, the greatest quarterback. Wait a second. He ran the ugliest, the most embarrassing 40-yard dash in the history of the combine. And it boggles your mind to even put Brady again in the same breath with Michael Jordan. But now we get back to the Donté Stallworth quotes. And what was he saying? That he was warned in his first year with the Patriots, be careful in the tunnel before introductions on game one, because he's going to headbutt you. And Stallworth's like, okay, so he's going to, what? He can't headbutt me. I'm a receiver. And he said then he comes up to him and he thought, oh, bleep, he's about to really headbutt me. And he nearly knocked his head off with a headbutt. It's what I call Psycho Tom. It's the classic case of Dr. Jekyll lives next door. He's the nice man next door. Mr. Hyde, the monster, goes to the games on Sunday, and he will headbutt everybody fiercely, psychically. And then, as Donté Stallworth said, that he was shocked in big games against Baltimore that Brady would trade shots with Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs, trash-talking shots. Would they be clever or cool or F-bomby or whatever? No, but he would stand up to them. I don't know that he would initiate, to your point, but he would fire back at them across the ball. He would call them out. He would go out of his mind and out of his body because that's the way he performs. He goes somewhere else in competitive fire that I never see during the week in any media session. And yet, all that rage inside him, it equals Jordan's, because I've told you, he's not more clutch than Jordan, but he's been clutch more than Jordan had an opportunity to be, because Tom did it 6 times with 6 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter of Super Bowls, pulled off another one against Eli in the first Eli Super Bowl that got canceled because Belichick's defense couldn't stop Eli from going 80 yards for a touchdown with 2 minutes left. And then, obviously, Brady throws for a playoff record 505 against Philadelphia and brings up 33 points. That's not enough because Belichick's defense, without Malcolm Butler, gives up 41 to the backup quarterback of the Eagles. So there's possibly 8 rings in which Brady played at extremely high Jordan-esque levels. But to me, it's because of that fire that raged in him that was equal to Jordan's fire. It just came out a little bit differently. And yet in leadership and clutch play, man, he's right there with Jordan to me. So yes, to me, I can put them in the same breath, even though Tom Brady does not look or act the part.
Let me ask you a question, Skip. How many times you think Joe Montana, who's the best quarterback in the 80s? Let's go say, we're going to say Elway, Montana, Marino. We believe Montana will probably get the nod because he won 4 Super Bowls. How many of those guys you think trash talk LT?
None of them.
Why? Because they know they were not protected like they are now. See, you can do all that, Skip. I used to go to the zoo. I bang on the enclosures. I know you weren't supposed to, but okay, I did it a couple times. The big old silverbacks, what are they going to do to me? You behind 5 benches of thick glass. I see the lions and all those dangerous animals. I can yell and do whatever I want. There's no chance for you to get to me. But in the 80s, in the 90s, when the quarterback was not protected, trust me, I was on the field. Those quarterbacks were doing no chirping, 0 chirping. Wide receivers was very hesitant to do any talking because, Skip, there was no defenseless receiver. There was none of that. There was no helmet-to-helmet contact. They were trying to put that helmet under your chin. They were trying to take you out. So now in 2007, the rules have been changed. You can't be as physical. There is the defenseless receiver. You can only hit the quarterback in the chest. You used to be able to hit the quarterback from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. And if his feet was up in there, you could hit him again. But now, all of a sudden, Skip, imagine when you saw what it was like in the 90s. And Jordan out there in everybody's face, from Xavier McDaniels to Oak to Reggie Miller, it did not matter. And they were snatching him out the sky, pulling him down, and all he was doing was just getting up and taking it. Yeah, but I'm still going to put this 40 spot on you. Yeah, you got 50 coming. Skip, the man dropped 55. The man dropped 63 on Dennis Johnson. Dennis Johnson was an all-NBA defender, one of the top defensive guards of all time. He was Finals MVP. People don't realize because DJ was back, started with the Supersonics, Skip. But you remember some of the things that he was doing to guys. You like, huh? How you do that? Sidney Moncrief, a two-time Defensive Player of the Year. He did that. Alvin Robertson, cooking. Skip, he was a different animal when it comes to competitiveness. And it didn't stop. I don't know if Tom is as competitive off the field, but I get it, Skip, when you look at somebody, because a lot of times perception has a lot to do with it, Skip. And that's what I think when Michael says, Skip, some people going to have a different take on me when they see this, because all they've ever seen was the button-up Mike. And so now they get to see a different Mike. It's kind of like Tom. You see him with the Tom Ford suits on. He's with his daughter, Vivian, throwing up leaves in the backyard. He's like, competitive? Man, that dude ain't competitive. And he takes you for a loop when you hear he up there headbutting people like offensive and defensive linemen do to get themselves ready to go.
So it sounds like The Last Dance has convinced you once and for all that Michael Jordan is the GOAT, because you're describing GOAT to me. Right?
Oh, my God. Skip, see, there you go. All I said was the man was ultra competitive. He is. But you and I knew, Skip, the thing is with you and I, when we talk, we know what Jordan was. That's for the people that were too young to remember. And plus some of the things off the court that if you have never been around him. But if you've been around him, nothing that Mike is saying surprised you. You haven't heard one thing that Mike said that surprised you, and you know it.
Okay, last quick point about Brady. Under today's rules, you could still take Brady out of the game if you so chose to do. It's going to cost you 15 yards and maybe ejection. But if you really wanted to get even with him for trash talk, you could take him out today. It's still football.
Nah, not the rules. Not the rules, because you can't hit him below the knee. You can't hit him in his head. But like I said, when I came into the league in the 90s, where everything went, there wasn't no talking, wasn't no trash talking going on, Jenny. Not from the quarterbacks.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.